Arabian Oryx, national animal of Jordan. A documentary script. Introduction. In the vast, shimmering deserts of Jordan, where ancient trade routes once carved paths through endless dunes and the sun beats down with relentless intensity, there exists a creature that embodies the very spirit of survival and grace. The Arabian Oryx, a magnificent antelope with striking white fur and impossibly long straight horns, stands as Jordan's national animal, a living symbol of resilience, beauty, and hope. But this isn't just a story about an animal. It's a tale of extinction and resurrection, of a species that vanished from the wild entirely, only to be brought back from the brink through one of conservation's greatest triumphs. The Arabian Oryx represents more than Jordan's natural heritage. It's a testament to what humanity can achieve when we choose preservation over exploitation, when we decide that some treasures are worth fighting for. Today, we journey into the world of this remarkable creature, exploring how an animal that once roamed freely across the Arabian Peninsula became a ghost, and how it rose again to reclaim its place in the desert landscape. This is the story of the Arabian Oryx, Jordan's white guardian of the sands. Physical characteristics. Imagine standing in the desert at dawn, the air still cool before the sun claims its dominion, and seeing a pristine white figure emerge from behind a dune. The Arabian Oryx is nothing short of breathtaking, nature's perfect answer to the challenge of desert existence. Standing approximately 3 to 4 feet tall at the shoulder and weighing between 140 to 165 pounds, the Arabian Oryx is the smallest of the oryx species, yet it carries itself with undeniable majesty. Its most distinctive feature is its coat, a brilliant white that seems to glow against the golden desert backdrop. This isn't merely aesthetic. This luminous fur serves a crucial purpose. White reflects the brutal desert sun, keeping the animal's body temperature manageable even when the mercury soars past 120 degrees Fahrenheit. But look closer, and you'll notice subtle variations in this pristine canvas. Dark markings accentuate the face, creating striking patterns around the eyes and down the bridge of the nose. The legs bear chocolate-brown stockings at the knees and ankles, and there's often a tuft of brown hair at the throat. These darker patches aren't random, they're strategic, helping the animal recognize others of its kind across vast distances. The horns, however, are what truly captivate. Both males and females possess these remarkable appendages, which can grow up to 2.5 feet long. They rise straight from the skull, curving ever so slightly backward, ringed with subtle ridges that catch the light. When viewed from the side, these paired horns can appear as a single spike, leading some historians to speculate that the Arabian Oryx might have inspired the legend of the unicorn. It's not hard to see why. In profile backlit by the setting sun, this creature indeed looks mythical. The hooves deserve mention too. Broad and splayed, they act like snowshoes for sand, distributing the animal's weight and preventing it from sinking into the soft desert terrain. Every aspect of the Arabian Oryx's physical form tells a story of adaptation, of millions of years of evolution crafting the perfect desert dweller. Natural habitat. The Arabian Oryx makes its home in one of Earth's most unforgiving environments, the desert. Historically, these animals ranged across the entire Arabian Peninsula, from Jordan and Saudi Arabia to Oman, the United Arab Emirates, and beyond. They favored the gravel plains and interdune valleys, the places where hardy vegetation could gain a roothold and where the contours of the land might offer occasional shelter from sandstorms. The desert habitat is a study in extremes. Daytime temperatures can exceed 122 degrees Fahrenheit, while nighttime can see the mercury plummeting to near freezing. Water is scarce, sometimes non-existent for months on end. Vegetation is sparse, tough, and often thorny. To the uninitiated, it seems impossible that any large mammal could survive here, let alone thrive. Yet the Arabian Oryx has mastered this hostile realm. In Jordan, the Shomari Wildlife Reserve in the Eastern Desert became the first site for reintroduction efforts, providing a protected area where the species could re-establish itself. This reserve, covering about 9 square miles of arid landscape, represents the typical habitat: rocky desert interspersed with seasonal wadis, dry riverbeds that might flow once or twice a year after rare rains. The ecological role of the Arabian oryx in this environment is subtle but significant. As herbivores, they help control vegetation growth and distribution. Their movements across the desert aid in seed dispersal. Seeds caught in their fur or passing through their digestive systems can colonize new areas. Their grazing patterns can influence plant community composition, and their very presence supports predators and scavengers in the food web. These animals are also indicators of desert health. Where oryx can survive, the ecosystem maintains enough productivity to support life. Their presence signals that the delicate balance of the desert, precarious as it is, remains intact. Behavior and diet. To watch an Arabian oryx go about its daily life is to witness a masterclass in desert survival. These animals have evolved behaviors so finely tuned to their environment that they seem to bend the very rules of biology. Perhaps most remarkable is their relationship with water, or rather, their ability to survive without it. Arabian oryx can go weeks, sometimes months, without drinking. They obtain moisture from the plants they eat and have developed an extraordinary ability to detect rainfall from miles away, moving toward areas where fresh vegetation will soon sprout. Their kidneys are incredibly efficient, concentrating urine to conserve every possible drop of water. They can also allow their body temperature to rise during the day, reducing the need for cooling through water-consuming evaporation. Their activity patterns reflect the desert's demands. During the scorching daytime hours, oryx rest in any available shade or dig shallow depressions in the sand beneath bushes, lying down to minimize exposure to the sun. They become active in the cooler hours of dawn and dusk, and on particularly cool days, they might graze throughout the morning. The diet of an Arabian oryx consists of grasses, herbs, succulent plants, roots, and buds. They're not particularly choosy, they can't afford to be. Using their hooves, they'll dig for roots and tubers, accessing moisture and nutrients underground. They've been observed eating up to 30 different plant species, adapting their preferences to whatever seasonal availability offers. Even toxic plants that other herbivores avoid might be consumed in small quantities. Socially, Arabian oryx are fascinating. They live in herds typically consisting of 6 to 10 individuals, though groups can occasionally number up to 30. These herds usually comprise a dominant male, several females, and their young. The social structure is generally peaceful, with individuals maintaining specific spacing and using subtle body language to communicate. The dominant male marks territory and maintains his position through displays rather than violence, lowering the head, presenting those impressive horns, and performing ritualized movements that usually convince rivals to back down without physical confrontation. Actual horn-to-horn combat is rare and typically brief. Females give birth to a single calf after a gestation of about 8 to 9 months. The newborn is tan-colored initially, camouflage against the desert floor, and will remain hidden for the first few weeks of life while the mother grazes nearby, returning regularly to nurse. The white adult coat develops as the calf matures. Cultural and historical significance. The Arabian oryx occupies a special place in the heart and history of Jordan and the broader Arabian Peninsula. Long before it became a national symbol, this animal walked through the pages of Arab poetry, folklore, and cultural identity. Ancient petroglyphs and rock art throughout Jordan depict oryx, evidence that these animals have been part of the human experience in this region for thousands of years. Bedouin tribes who traversed these deserts held the oryx in high regard, not just as a potential source of meat and hide during desperate times, but as a symbol of beauty and endurance. Arab poetry frequently invoked the oryx as a metaphor for grace, purity, and the ability to flourish where others would perish. In traditional Bedouin culture, the oryx represented the ultimate desert survivor, a quality that resonated deeply with people who themselves had mastered the art of living in such an environment. Stories were told of the oryx's almost supernatural ability to find water and withstand heat, tales that elevated the animal to near mythical status. The oryx also appears in Islamic tradition and historical accounts from the region. Medieval Arab scholars and travelers documented the animal in their writings, describing its beauty and its presence across the Arabian deserts. Falconers and hunters of the past considered the oryx a prized quarry, though traditional hunting methods allowed populations to remain sustainable for centuries. For modern Jordan, the Arabian Oryx carries additional meaning. The country has positioned itself as a leader in Middle Eastern conservation, and the Oryx serves as the flagship for these efforts. The animal represents Jordan's commitment to environmental stewardship, its respect for natural heritage, and its role in preserving Arabian biodiversity for future generations. Jordanian currency, stamps, and official emblems have featured the oryx, embedding it in the national consciousness. Schools teach children about the animal not just as biology, but as part of their cultural inheritance. The oryx has become inseparable from Jordanian identity, a source of pride and a reminder of the nation's natural treasures. Conservation status and efforts. The story of the Arabian oryx's conservation is simultaneously heartbreaking and inspiring, a cautionary tale that transforms into one of history's most successful wildlife rescue operations. By the 1960s, the Arabian oryx faced extinction. Decades of uncontrolled hunting, primarily by wealthy individuals using motorized vehicles and automatic weapons, had decimated populations. The introduction of modern firearms and four-wheel drive vehicles into the Arabian Peninsula proved catastrophic for an animal that had survived millennia of traditional hunting. The oryx, visible for miles in open desert and unable to outrun vehicles, was slaughtered with tragic efficiency. In 1972, the last wild Arabian oryx was shot in Oman. The species was extinct in the wild. But this wasn't the end. Several years before this final extinction, conservationists had launched Operation Oryx, a desperate attempt to save the species by capturing wild individuals and establishing a breeding population in captivity. In 1962, the Phoenix Zoo in Arizona became home to the World Herd, a small group of captured wild oryx and animals from private collections. This herd would become the foundation for the species' survival. The breeding program succeeded beyond initial hopes. As captive populations grew, attention turned to reintroduction. Jordan became a pioneer in this effort, establishing the Shomari Wildlife Reserve in 1975 specifically for oryx conservation. In 1978, the first captive-bred Arabian oryx returned to the wild in Jordan, a historic moment in conservation. The reintroduction process was complex. Captive-born animals had to be carefully prepared for desert life. They needed to develop the behaviors that wild oryx would possess naturally: how to find food, recognize predators, navigate the desert, and function in social groups. Early reintroductions involved soft-release strategies, where animals were kept in large enclosures within the reserve before being fully released, allowing them to adapt gradually. Jordan's program became a model for other countries. Oman, Saudi Arabia, the United Arab Emirates, and Israel all established their own reintroduction programs, many receiving animals descended from Jordan's Shomari population or the original world herd. By 1986, the Arabian oryx became the first animal to revert from extinct in the wild to endangered on the IUCN Red List, an unprecedented achievement. Today, populations have recovered to the point where the species is classified as vulnerable, with over 1,000 individuals in the wild across multiple countries and another 6,000 to 7,000 in captivity. However, challenges remain. Habitat loss, poaching for private collections, and the species' limited genetic diversity pose ongoing threats. Climate change affects desert ecosystems, potentially altering the vegetation patterns oryx depend on. Some reintroduced populations have struggled or required ongoing management. Jordan continues its leadership role, not only maintaining wild populations but also supporting research, sharing expertise with other nations, and promoting the oryx as an ecotourism attraction that provides economic incentives for conservation. The Shomari Reserve offers visitors the chance to see these magnificent animals, connecting people with conservation and generating support for ongoing protection efforts. The global conservation community recognizes the Arabian Oryx program as proof that extinction doesn't have to be permanent, that with dedication, cooperation, and resources, we can reverse even our most destructive impacts on nature. Symbol of Jordan. Why did Jordan choose the Arabian Oryx as its national animal? The answer reveals much about how Jordan sees itself and the values it wishes to project. The oryx embodies resilience. It survives where survival seems impossible, enduring extreme heat, scarce water, and harsh landscapes. Jordan, a nation with limited natural resources and surrounded by regional challenges, identifies deeply with this quality. Like the oryx, Jordan has thrived through adaptability, wisdom, and efficient use of what's available. The animal represents grace and beauty in adversity. Jordan takes pride in offering hospitality, culture, and sophistication despite geographic and economic constraints. The oryx, elegant and pristine against the rugged desert, mirrors this self-image. Conservation success matters too. By championing the oryx's return from extinction, Jordan demonstrated environmental leadership in a region where such efforts were historically rare. The national animal represents not just what Jordan is, but what it aspires to be: a responsible steward of natural heritage, a country that preserves rather than exploits. The oryx also connects Jordan to its Bedouin heritage and the desert landscape that shapes much of the country. In a rapidly modernizing nation, the oryx serves as a link to tradition, to the time when people and nature existed in closer balance. It's a reminder of where Jordan comes from, even as it looks toward the future. For Jordanian citizens, particularly younger generations, the oryx represents hope. Its recovery from extinction demonstrates that environmental damage isn't always irreversible, that human action can heal as well as harm. In an era of climate anxiety and environmental decline, the oryx's story offers a narrative of redemption and possibility. The animal appears prominently in Jordan's environmental education programs, conservation messaging, and national identity campaigns. Children grow up learning that their country helped save a species, that Jordanian dedication brought an animal back from the brink. This instills pride and environmental consciousness in future generations. International visitors associate Jordan with the oryx, recognizing the country's conservation achievements. The animal has become part of Jordan's global brand, alongside Petra, the Dead Sea, and Wadi Rum, another unique treasure that Jordan protects and shares with the world. Conclusion. As the sun sets over the Jordanian desert, painting the sky in shades of copper and gold, a small herd of Arabian oryx moves silently across the landscape. Their white coats catch the fading light, making them appear almost ethereal, like spirits of the desert made flesh. It's a scene that, just decades ago, seemed lost forever, a vision that human carelessness had nearly erased from Earth. The Arabian oryx is more than Jordan's national animal. It's a testament to nature's resilience and humanity's capacity for redemption. It represents what we can lose through thoughtlessness and what we can restore through dedication. Every oryx that walks the desert today descended from that desperate rescue effort, from the handful of individuals that conservationists refuse to let disappear. For Jordan, this animal symbolizes the nation's character: tough, adaptable, graceful under pressure, and ultimately triumphant against the odds. It embodies the spirit of the desert and those who've made it their home for millennia. The oryx reminds Jordanians and the world that some things transcend politics, economics, and borders, that preserving natural heritage is a responsibility that defines our humanity. The story of the Arabian oryx teaches us that extinction doesn't have to be inevitable, that with sufficient will, resources, and international cooperation, even our gravest mistakes can be partially undone. It shows that wildlife conservation isn't merely about preserving animals. It's about maintaining our connection to the natural world, about ensuring that future generations inherit a planet still graced by creatures of wonder and beauty. As Jordan continues to protect and celebrate its national animal, the Arabian oryx stands as both guardian and symbol, a white sentinel watching over the desert, reminding us that survival, whether of species or nations, requires adaptability, resilience, and the wisdom to value what truly matters. In its story, we find not just the tale of one remarkable animal, but a blueprint for hope in an uncertain age.